They are there now. They've been engaging with the authorities. I here have engaged with the Ghanaian embassy, and through all of these efforts, they have been able to halt the case that they took to court to allow us time to be able to get our citizens back home. There was an emergency meeting today that I convened with Ministry of Internal Affairs, LTRC, and Ministry of Finance to look at the modalities for us to do that. And then in addition to that, there will be a board meeting of the LTRC board so that we come up with a permanent solution. As you can recall, periodically we have been having these issues, and we want to make sure that we carry this exercise out in a way where it will be a permanent solution, not a temporary solution. The Liberians who've been profiled for returning home are 1,539. But we also heard reports today from Accra, from our team there, that more Liberians have come forward from different parts of Ghana to say they want to come home. Totaling about 4,000. We want to stress today that this exercise is for those Liberians who were evicted from the Grant area and are temporarily sheltering those schools in the Women's Center. This exercise is for the 1,539 who are in a difficult situation. And we look forward to giving you an update in relation to that. Right now, we're asking the authorities to give us the opportunity to carry out the return of the Liberians through Liberia within a time frame ending May 30th, so that we do it sequentially and in a manageable way. But this is not the final in terms of the timelines. It's just indicative to say to you that's the timeline we are looking at. Thirdly, you will recall that I announced a special committee that was headed by Ambassador George Wallace and consisting of members from our seasoned diplomats, the Policy Advisory Council of the ministry. We had other ambassadors. We had the Civil Service Administration, Internal Audit, and that committee did its work. That committee has provided me a report with recommendations in relation to those who were placed in foreign service in the short period through the short period after the elections and up to February, and some from July. They looked at the entire period from July 1 to the end of February, and they made recommendations. I have since, on April 4th, forwarded the recommendations to the President, and on Wednesday afternoon, the committee led by myself will be meeting the President for the President's final position on the recommendations made, and those will be shared. Please know that I cannot share the recommendations with you out of respect for the President, number one, but also out of respect for those who will need to hear information back after the decision is finalized by the President. Thank you very much, and we look to continue to serve the people of Liberia through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
So that was the voice of the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor Nyanti, who will provide updates relative to the workings of the Foreign Ministry.
The Minister has very pressing engagement, so we will take just one set of questions. Those of you who have questions, I'm going to fool you. I know you ask all your questions. Give to the Minister, please take notes. Just ask all the questions at once. The Minister will answer it. After that, she will depart. And then on other issues, Deputy Minister Daniel Sano will briefly touch on those issues that are concerning to us. But for now, just full question formula. Make sure not more than full to ask questions so that the Minister can answer.
Please come in, please. So my name is George Nobo. So, Madam Minister, we talk about people coming in with fake birth certificates. I want you to bear in mind that issue of such will always exist. But what is your plan so that at the ministry you'll be able to track people coming in with fake birth certificates?
My name is Joseph Kefula, and I report for Report 231 online media website. Madam Minister, the former Maritime Commissioner Board, Eugene Nandi, appeared on Freedom FM on the 19th of March, and after you left this podium. He said the government is in total error by requesting all former officials to return diplomatic passports. And then he threatened to go put if anyone go after him for a passport. So my question is, how sincere is your team? The second question has to do with
my name is Anel Tyler, and I report for Freedom FM. I want to know what becomes of the Liberians, ordinary Liberians on that side, who've come out to say they want to return home. Because you said the exercise is just covering the 1,500 persons that were had a quality that they told to leave the Liberian camp. But now you said that other Liberians from other parts of Ghana have come up or come out to say that they want to return home. So what are you people going to do about it?
Thank you, Madam Minister. My name is Ishmael and located and I work for Punch FM and television. Liberians are concerned with responding to the renewal of their passport, people who presenting Liberian diplomatic passport, some of their names have received their passport.
And people's biodata should be treated that way. The issue of data security and so forth is critical for institutions managing information. And so we will not share names of people unless people themselves want to share their names. Secondly, linked to that is the issue of whether or not somebody feels what we're doing is right or wrong. At the end of the day, the regulation on the passports, the regulation stands, the regulation is there, and that's what we're implementing. In terms of fake birth certificates and how we track that, tomorrow I will be chairing an interministerial meeting on national identification. That meeting will include Ministry of Health, Ministry of Transport, it will include Ministry of Internal Affairs, Foreign Affairs, of course, security as well. And that meeting is also to discuss exactly this point. How do we make sure as a country that we have a national system that is strengthening to ensure that all of our documents are secure? You would not want anyone to be claiming to be Liberian if they and so forth, and we take it lightly. Tomorrow, when we are stronger, we are better, and we're more prosperous, we will not be able to exclude those people who are falsely claiming to be Liberians. Liberia is for Liberians. We need partners to come in and help us develop Liberia, but fundamentally, Liberia is for Liberians. And so, we will be.
Let me just compliment for all the questions that were asked. Somebody was concerned that a former government official said the process was illegal, they will go to court. Decisions are taken will lead to repression. You heard the minister right? 61% compliance level. Doesn't it tell you that besides maybe the 1 or 2 persons who are making noise, that the others are complaining, that is the right thing to do? Why do you give that man, you know the man, you asking for go look for him? So why do you go to court him? Madam Minister, thank you for coming. Daniel? Yes.
Thank you very much. Some of the concerns raised by our media friends. That being said, we just like to conclude by speaking on the following issues. So these vehicles could not yield to the mandate of the court to provide documentation to prove ownership. And so therefore the court was left with no alternative but to now give a carte blanche, a green light to the asset recovery team to say you cannot proceed in keeping with law. I thought to make that point because some of our friends from the other side were insisting that the asset recovery were witch hunting people. What have you? If you are claiming ownership of vehicles, there has to be documentation. Like in the case of Mr. Beyslow, when he went to the GSA, provided documentation to show that he purchased the vehicle
$2,500 a vehicle returned to them. In the case of the people from Gracious, Rye, they posted kind of show your documentation. The 5 days period elapsed, they put into ownership. So we thought to highlight that because very soon the asset recovery team will be back here to provide us updates on their operations. Also yesterday, we witnessed something very important. You know, we all as Liberians are very hopeful that our country can reach a point where investment partners can come here to increase the size of their investment envelope, to provide jobs for our young people. And so we can be able to have the purchasing power, right? So yesterday, the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency, Ambassador Joseph Mangwaka, received in audience at the Executive Mansion the CEO of MICAT. Now, this ArcelorMittal, you know, is the second largest steel maker in the world, and Liberia is proud to have such an investment here. We know very well that government cannot employ all our citizens, so it's good that we continue to build the profile of our country for investors to come here. And so the meeting, it is important to be stated that the meeting was the first between the President since the inauguration, and the two were engaged in high-level discussions. Those discussions were centered around, of course, the President's arrest agenda. We talk about rules, agricultural rules, rule of law, education, sanitation, and tourism. And also, it encompasses the agenda for sustainable development in Liberia. And so, you already know that ArcelorMittal has an initial $5 billion ton per annual operations. I was really opening Liberia mining industry, shipping iron ore for the first time since 2011, after the end of the Civil War. But what is important to be stated is that ArcelorMittal, through its new expansion project, the company has committed an additional $1.4 billion in new investments towards building an iron ore concentrator to produce high-grade iron ore, which increases production to 15 million per ton per annum. So when that happens, more jobs are going to be created. The investment portfolio of the country will increase, and things are going to gradually get better. This is how you know that a decent and responsible government is in charge of a country. In time past, people were extorting money from investors. You know the situation involving HPS, Solway, and the past government, which even led to some officials of the past government being sectioned. So now you have the president of the country sitting face to face with the owner of a multi-billion-dollar investment to put forth the interests of the country. At this point, it is not about personal interest. So we'd like to commend His Excellency for that. It is also important to be stated that the first phase of the expansion is due to be completed in 2024. ArcelorMittal is further studying a phase development of up to 30 million tons per annum, consistent with President Waga's vision for empowering Liberian youth with essential technical potential skills. ArcelorMittal has also committed to buttressing the government efforts in TVET. TVET, of course, you know, is technical vocational education, which is very good for a country such as ours. You need the potential, you need the skills. That's how you'll be able to compel the concession here to say, look, you cannot bring in people to the country because we already have people here who are trained, they have the requisite skills to do the work. So this is all geared towards providing new jobs for our people and having more employment opportunity. So the company also intends to provide scholarship for Liberia. Of course, you know, ArcelorMittal is in the business of providing scholarship. They don't intend to stop. They want to increase the investment profile in Liberia. They also want to contribute to technical vocational training for young Liberian youth. They also want to continue to provide scholarship for our people. These are the kind of investment I will encourage. Investment that will come and not just want to exploit our natural resources, but to also give back to the community. Okay, so yesterday, the CEO of ArcelorMittal, the president of Liberia, they had a tete-a-tete at mansion, and that was followed by a press stakeout with executive mansion press. It's already out there. We just thought to highlight it because the Ministry of Information is closely following all of the developments as they unfold. Okay, so that brings us to the last talking point. Development partners. I had to visit the Makofi Hydro Plant, the dam. Yesterday, the management of the Liberia Electricity Corporation, LEC, took on a guided tour of the Simple Hydro Dam with Excellency Ambassadors of the European Union delegation and the Republic of France, along the United States Agency for International Development, UCI. Now, it is important to be stated that our visit will give the development partners detailed briefing on the status of LEC, right? And the energy generation and transmission capacity of the entity. Everybody crying every day. LEC is not stable. It goes off and on. It's a problem that was inherited by the government. Unlike the previous administration, we're not giving excuses. Because leadership, in our mind, is about taking on to the challenge. And we do believe that Ambassador Boaga, the president of the country, is of the opinion that you cannot expand the Liberian economy in the absence of energy. That is why he was in Ivory Coast the last month. For some of you who are connected to the electricity grid, you realize that the initial 8 hours have been extended. So we cannot begin to bring praises on the LEC. We can only hope that it gets better through some of the immediate intervention that we made by His Excellency. So the CRSG line was providing us 25 megawatts of current. Following the visit of His Excellency to his counterpart in Ivory Coast, that was increased to 50 megawatts. That tells you that the president is concerned about some of the basic issues confronting the Liberian population. So, on that note, we like to say thank you. Tomorrow, okay, so that being said, we'd like to say thank you to our media friends, independent media institutions that always come here to provide the coverage